sharing using ratio is what we're going to look at in this video. It's split into 4 parts. So we're going to start off by looking at simple questions like this one. We're then going to move on to looking at questions where we have to work backwards from given amount. We're then going to look at more trickier questions like this one with reasoning. And then finally, we're going to look at really hard questions like this with wording. So the way my videos work, I'm going to do the example on the left, which is I do. You are then going to press pause and I've got the example on the right, which is you do. So the first question, we've been told that £30 is shared between Joe and Tom in the ratio 1:2. So it's shared in the ratio 1:2 between Joe and Tom. So we'll label that on. Let me just write that a little bit clearer. Joe and Tom. Now altogether, how many parts does this ratio have? It has 3 parts. So if I add 1 and 2, I get 3 altogether. So how much is each part worth? So altogether, £30 is shared in 3 parts. So we need 30 divided by 3, which gives us 10. So each part in this ratio is worth £10. So that means that Joe got £10. So we're just going to multiply that by 10. And Tim got 10, which is 20. So the final answer is how much did Joe get? Joe got 10. So just as a recap, we first write out the ratio that's given in the question. So 1:2, and we label where the numbers represent the people. Then we find the total number of parts. So we just add the ratio together. Once we have the total number of parts, we're just going to divide that by the total amount. So that tells us how much one part is worth. And then we know how to go from there to there. So hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at the example on the right. So again, with this one, we have Phil and Andy. We have the ratio 2:5, which is a total of 7 parts. So now we need to find how much one part is. So if I do 28 divided by 7, that gives me 4. So what is the question asking for? How much does Andy get? So we just multiply 5 parts by 4, and that gives us £20. And if you do 4 on this side, you'll get 8, which adds up to the total, which is 28. So the answer here is 20. So if I just write that down, the final answer is £20. That's how much Andy gets. So moving on. Here we have 3 ratios, but it's the exact same rule that applies as before. So we have Sam, Lee, and Tom. The ratio is 3:5:1. In total, this ratio has 9 parts. Now, how much is one part worth? So if we do 45, divide that by 9, one part is worth £5. So in this case, it's asking us how much does Sam get? So we know Sam has 3 parts, so we just do 3 times 5, and that is 15. So the final answer is £15. And if you worked out the rest, if you worked out this and this, you will find the total will always add up to 45. Okay, so now we have £48, and it's split in the following ratio. So it's split in the ratio 2:5:1. That's Joe, Colin, and Ben. Altogether, this has 8 parts. So if I do 48, divide that by 8, I get 6. So each part is worth £6. So the question is asking how much did Colin get? So that would just be times 6, and that is 30. So the final answer, Colin got £30. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now moving on. So in this case, we've been told the same thing. We have Joe, we have Tom, we have a ratio of 1:2. But now we've been told Tom gets £20, so we can write this £20 down here. So we know that Tom got £20. And now the question you're going to ask yourself is, well, how do we go from here to here? Well, I must have times that by 10. So I've got to do the exact same on this side. And that gives me an answer of 10. So the final answer, Joe must have got £10. So looking on the right, again, the exact same approach. We have Ben, we have Phil, and we have Smith. They have a ratio of 2:5:1. We've been told that Ben gets £10. So if I write that under here, well, how do you go from 2 to 10? Well, you times that by 5. So it's asking how much does Phil get? So again, we times that by 5. That gives us 25. So the final answer is Phil gets £25. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now moving on. So we need to make concrete, and we have to make cement, sand, and gravel in that ratio. And Sam wants to make 270 kg of concrete by weight. So again, the exact same approach. Let's write that ratio out. We have 1:3:5. We have cement, sand, and gravel. We have a total of 9 parts. Well, what is one part worth? We know he wants to make a total of 270. So if you split 270 into one part, that'll be 30 kg each. So how much cement do we need? And all we now need to do is multiply this by, and this by 30, and we'll get our values. So we need, if I use a different color, we need 30 kg of cement, and we can see we've got plenty of cement, so that's fine. We need 90 kg of sand. We've got plenty of sand, and we need 150 kg of gravel, and we don't have enough there. So does Sam have enough? And you would write, no, Sam does not have enough. And then you can just say 10 kg short on gravel. And again, we want to be really precise here, so we're being very clear on what we're actually missing. And that's how you answer this question. So again, on the right, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this. So we write the ratio out as usual. So we have mango, we have banana, and we have yogurt, 2 to 3 to 5. And that is altogether 10 parts. Altogether, he wants to make 1,000 grams. So if I do 1,000, divide that by 10 to find out how much one part is worth. So one part is worth 100. Now, I just need to multiply each of these by 100. So I know how that ratio is split. So the 1,000 grams is split as 200 grams of mango, 300 grams is banana, and 500 grams is yogurt. And now if I just compare that to the question, we have enough mango. No, we don't have enough mango. We don't have enough banana, and we don't have enough yogurt. So we don't have enough of everything. We're short on everything. So again, the answer here would be no. And you would be very clear in the question. You would say we are 50 grams short on mango, 50 grams short on banana, and 20 grams short on... In fact, we're not short on banana. We have got enough banana. We've got 350 and we need 300. And in fact, we have got enough yogurt as well. The only thing we're short on is mango. So yeah, again, you were just right. We are 50 grams short on mango. So apologies, I did misread that there. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. And now we're moving on to the final bit. So here, we've been told that Ben tutors 6 hours each day. He's paid £40 per hour. He splits his earnings in the ratio of 3 to 2. He saved all his money. How many days does it take him to save £900? So if we go line by line from the top, he works 6 hours each day. He's paid £40 an hour. So in one day, Ben gets 6 times 40, which is £240. So we're clear on that. Now, how much of this does he keep? Well, he splits it in the ratio between Ben and Sam as 3 to 2, which has 5 parts. So if we find out how much one part is, if you just do 240, divide that by 5, that's 48. So we know that Ben keeps 3 times 48, which is 144. Okay, so that's how much he keeps. So how long does it take him to save £900? So 900, divide that by 144, and we get an answer of 6.25 days. Now, we don't want to write 6.25 days, so we're just going to round that up because 6 days wouldn't be enough. He needs more than 6 days, so we would say 7 days in total. So it will take him 7 days of working to save £900. So again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a quick example on the right. Again, I would start by figuring out how much he earns in one day. So we have 12 times that by 30 and you get 360. So that's £360. Then write out the ratio. So we have fill to agency, which is 2 to 3, which again is 5 parts. So 360, divide that by 5, and you get 72. And then we just multiply that by 72, and that is effectively just doubling that, which becomes 144. So now, how many days does it take him to save £4,320? So that would just be 4,320. Divide that by how much he's saving in one day, and we can use a calculator for most of this, and that gives us 30. So the answer is 30 days. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now, if you would like some more practice on this, I have got a full worksheet on this linked down in the comments below over on my website. And if you found this really useful, I've got loads of other content in the same format. Do check it out.